Hi everyone, this is Sönke and here is my feedback for the finalists of the Natasha Guitar Competition 2023. Miguel Mendes, you have a great sense for groove and timing and a very good technique. The melody of the song needs a bit more work to sound interesting as an instrumental piece as well. And maybe it also helps to look for different chord voicings underneath, which bring out the notes a bit better. In terms of dynamics, I would also advise to shift the focus to the melody in some parts of the song. But overall, very good playing. I enjoyed it very much. Nia Keranova, beautiful clean playing with great phrasing and dynamics, especially in the more melodic parts. It is a great composition as well. I just hoped for a little more tension in some of the chords, especially when chord sequences are repeated. So some of the variations would become a bit more obvious and the piece moves a little bit more. Yang Jiasheng, great clean playing and phrasing, which creates a nice flow in the piece. The composition could use a bit more obvious structure, and a few of the more jazzy elements felt a bit unconnected in this piece. Jung Fan Ming, great playing of a technically complex piece. It's very nice, you still have some melodic parts even if the rhythms and the groove take a lot of focus. Nice variations at the end also. Because the dynamics are always on a high level, it might be nice to add a bit more color to some of the harmonies. That way you can create different levels of intensity within the piece without having to change the dynamics too much. Ilya Karima, you have a very good timing and groove. For the composition itself, it would be nice to have more variation and development, which applies for the harmonies, the rhythms, but especially for the melodies, I think. There are a few very catchy ideas, but it needs more work to keep them interesting over the whole piece. Shun Tu Jung Yang, great groove and very accurate playing. Nice work matching the vibe of the original piece, especially the phrasing of the melody with all the dead notes. I would encourage you to make it a bit more your own version instead of copying the original, and work a bit on the dynamics as well. Joshua Silas, nice arrangement ideas. I like the jazzy harmonies, the playful licks and the harmonics. The main thing for you to work on, I think, is phrasing and dynamics. Before the groove starts, the tempo can be much more free, and it might be a good idea to let the melody guide you in terms of tempo and dynamics as well. In some moments, it might sound much more intimate and fitting if you also play quieter in the right hand and actually leave some headroom for the parts with the most harmonic tension or the groovier parts. George Supero, great clean playing. The range of different dynamics could be bigger to keep the piece interesting over 5 minutes. It's quite a long one. Nice way of incorporating just the right dose of percussive sounds. As an instrumental piece, it would need a bit more variation in the harmonies. Basically just more voicings of the same chords. You don't have to stick to the original here. And also try to bring out the melody always as good as possible. Lance Allen, it's a nice surprise to see you and to hear Wonderwall in the competition. And it's a very cool arrangement. Of course, especially this song needs creative ideas to sound fresh. And I like the groove approach and especially the chorus with the harmonics. Maybe it could need even more freshness. For example, with different harmonies and more dynamics. It was a great moment when the dynamics went down in the chorus with the harmonics. And I missed that a little bit earlier in the piece. Also the melody could be a bit more clear and on top of the rest of the arrangement. Chen Jung, beautiful clean playing. It could use more dynamics and expression. When sometimes the faster licks appear, be careful to stay in the groove. Sing, nice expressive playing, very clean technique, it's a great cover. In the more free phrasing, be careful to stay in the flow when you play the faster licks. The dynamics are okay, they could need a bit more work in the less melodic parts to hold the piece together. Liu Seung Yu, very accurate cover of these moments. Nice flow and dynamics in a very challenging piece. The dynamics could be even a bit more clear in the less technical parts and in the outro, but that's a minor detail. Great job. Jan Waterstraat, very good groove and timing, very tasteful use of percussive elements. The overall vibe is very hypnotic, which I like a lot. I miss a little more catchy melodic information. Also the click is pretty loud compared to the rest, and the tone and maybe even the groove could improve a little bit if you play a bit more gentle and then come closer to the microphone or turn up your amp instead. Alex Boldin, nice to see you here. It's a very relaxed groove. You have a fantastic tone and technique. Also nice and subtle percussion that's not in the way of the rest. The intro, I think, could breathe a little bit more and could use a little bit more clarity. It feels a bit random in the choice of arpeggios you use. And be a bit careful with using the dominant chord too often at the end of a chord progression. If you do that, it always makes clear that the next part would start on the tonic, so it makes things very predictable sometimes. Also, I was hoping there would be a part that focuses a bit more on the melody, so the song would stick more, but overall, very beautiful playing. Kawin Pusritet, very groovy playing, great technique. Over the whole piece, I hope for a little more development and surprise, as well as dynamics. Maybe try to have a little less repetition in the harmonic structure. The whole composition has a lot of clarity, so there is room to explore your ideas even more. The outro feels a bit disconnected from the rest, so my impression was that the piece has actually two endings right now, which interrupts the flow a little bit, but in any case, great playing. Yong Sho Hwai, beautiful composition with beautiful melodic ideas, which you bring out nicely in your playing. Your technique is very clean and accurate. Just a little more dynamics would be great, and maybe a tiny bit more variation in the harmonies could still improve the composition. Nati Chaiwood, expressive and still very accurate playing in a technically challenging piece. Sometimes the dynamics might be a bit too much on the same level. You could, for example, think about starting a bit quieter at 1:46 and then build it up again, but in any case, very impressive performance. Fan Anusan Sunton, very nice, expressive and dynamic playing. You have a great technique and many very nice ideas. One tip for future compositions: choose one or two ideas to focus on and develop them. Make variations and always keep the balance between new elements and familiar elements. In this piece, you used so many different new ideas that are not related to each other that the piece doesn't feel very round and connected. Ilona Bolu, very challenging arrangement and great playing. Sometimes you might even make it a bit hard for yourself and the piece could breathe a little bit more. Maybe that way you also find room for a bit more dynamics. Since there's not so much harmonic and melodic information and the original lives from the great production, we need to find different ways to make it as interesting on a solo guitar. However, it's already a great arrangement and your technique is wonderful. Do de Tru, nice composition and very clean playing. I would advise you to try to make it a bit more playful. Try to add more dynamics and a bit more color to the harmonies. Some variations to the groove also. Maybe add some melody notes with more tension. All this can add more personality to your piece, which now sounds wonderful, but also still very traditional without many moments of surprise and development. But overall, great technique and beautiful ideas. Matthäus Lacerda, really nice piece, such a relaxed way of playing. It's quite difficult to make this sound so easy. Beautiful melodic ideas in the composition. The piece, I think, has a lot of potential to be longer. Maybe you can take some of the ideas and reuse them for a little minor part, for example. I wanted to hear much more. Just when I was fully immersed in your piece, it was already over. Linda Schreiber, quite a challenge to play these 3 pieces in one medley. Maybe less is more here, but of course you did a great job. I have 2 little things to think about, especially in the quiet beginning. There's room for much more playfulness, for more dynamics. Also, slow pieces can have their loud expressive moments, obviously. And at the end, it feels like you wanted a bit too much. Even if the piece is very energetic, it could be great to play it a bit less loud, but more accurate. Often I feel that grooves fall a bit apart when they are played too powerful or with too much tension. But here the most thing is not the volume, but the articulation and the timing. Shyam Rajendran, very good cover, challenging rhythms played with ease and expression. Nice phrasing and tone. The intro can breathe a little bit more with longer breaks and a bit more dynamics to make the contrast to the actual piece even bigger. Julian Weimer, very groovy and energetic, nice composition ideas. The piece itself could use a bit more variation and development, especially in the harmonies, and also different dynamic levels. For example, the quieter part could be extended, but in any case, great playing. Max Willow, very clean, relaxed and accurate playing. Some parts of the composition don't feel that related. Maybe less ideas are more here, but overall a fantastic performance full of nice little playful details. Mark Polawat, wonderful dynamic playing, beautiful composition ideas. I love the outside chords and how you balance dissonant chords with catchy melodies. Great work. Yuan Man, wonderful playing, phrasing, dynamics and tone. It's all perfect. You bring out the melody so well. It's a nice, creative and touching take on the piece. Ayman Busarhan, very clean playing and many great arrangement ideas. I like how you hear all the different voices going on at the same time. It could use a bit more expression and dynamics. That's everything for now. I wish all the finalists all the best with their music, and thank you again to Natasha Guitars for making this competition possible.